I'll start unless you want to.
Nope, please go ahead.
Yeah, so Alison has agreed to help us streamline the process of shipping Zoeae. It often happens suddenly, a spawn. You don't know, and you got, 24 hours maybe to figure out what to do with them. If you want to donate them, if you want to find a breeder. In my case, I can hold them a little longer because I have the foods and I have the nanochlorops and stuff. So I can hold them over the weekend. But still, that's not a lot of time to find people who are willing to take spawns. So we're trying to get a database, a list of people that are willing and more or less ready. I mean, you can get ready quickly. You don't have to have that fancy thing that I paid $1 bazillion for. I've raised them in bins, in just plastic bins with air stones and things that are easily gotten. So yeah, you don't feel you have to have the most expensive equipment. Sue Brown raised hers in mason jars in a cooler the very first time she succeeded. And honestly, the more people push the limits of what can work, the more we learn, the more we improve our methods across the board. So don't be afraid to try. I think I want that to be a main message too, for people who are like, oh, I could never do that. I don't know. Should I, could I, would I? That's what I thought the first time. I don't know if I can do that. But the Zoeae were there. I had to either pour them down the sink or wait for them to die and throw them out, so I just tried. So the more people we get trying, the better. Alison put together a great Google form that you can use to sign up to get on the list. So it'll have your location roughly too, so that sometimes, like this batch you see right there, I've got 5 on land and 2 still in the water, day 48. They were spawned about 40 minutes from me and Lana Bennett, and she and I met at a rest area and had a clandestine, trade of Zoeae, and, now they're coming to land. So you may not even have to have them shipped, but fill out the form and, you're good either way. We will give preference to people who are aspiring breeders at Hermit House already. If you've done that, we figure you have demonstrated your commitment. You're ready to go. These are people who have access to mentoring and materials and all sorts of things. So they get first pick. Sorry, that's just the way it's going to be. It's just the smart move. But we almost always have more. And we have people who are not, don't mean to be breeders, but get a spawn and are willing to ship. So
that's going to be me at some point.
Well, my purple pinchers are mating today. So 30 days, be ready. They always spawn tons. And some of those are old enough, captive bred babies, old enough to breed. So they would be second generation, which is really cool. We've been trying to get that, just because they were selected. They were personally selected for temperament, coloration, and not growing too fast, because everybody likes them small. So as long as they're healthy, but they stay smaller, they go into the gene pool. What did I forget, Alison? What else do I need to mention?
I don't, nothing comes to mind that you've forgotten so far.
Yeah, I'm sure people will have a lot of questions. I have not been looking at the questions, except love the shorter hair. Thank you. I saw that one. Let's see. I'll just run through this.
So Jesse wants to know, are you keeping the captive ones separate so you can keep track of who's a second generation first?
I am not, but I do sometimes see when a crab spawns, and like last year I knew for sure. I don't have, this is it. Like I have a very small house. This room is wall to wall crab tanks. I don't have a way to separate them. And they would only be probably most likely only, I only know the females unless I see mating occur. So it would be a female captive bred, not necessarily both babies. Josh's frogs took a bunch of, or purchased a bunch of captive bred babies that they are keeping separate, and they are hoping to get a second generation. So that's great. I have extra captive bred babies from 2018 that I have offered to Hermit House aspiring breeders if they want to work on the second generation. So far, no one has taken me up on that. But you know, so no, it's not an exact science with me. I would like it to be, but I can only do so much and only keep so many balls in the air at one time. So they are in with my regular purple pincher population, but those are all my original breeders and the captive bred babies. And I haven't added any crabs to that. All of my exotics are on this side, and usually I can tell from the Zoeae, from the behavior of the Zoeae, which crab has spawned if I didn't witness it. And I'm also hoping to get a camera. I have 3. It's just like one more thing. But if I get a camera set up over the saltwater pool, then I'll really know. So goal for this summer for me is to be able to know for sure who spawned and when roughly. But yeah, so I will have spawns of many different species. Last year I had Lila, rugosus, perlatus, and purple pincher. Is that right? To my knowledge, I did not have any Ecuadorians last year, but Stacy Bolts has donated her very prolific E's to the breeding program, and they were just added about a month ago. So hopefully I'll get some Ecuadorian spawns this year too. They're even harder. They're smaller, not light reactive. They're a bear. So again, I take all of this into account when I know who I'm shipping Zoeae to. Like, I want you to succeed, so I'm going to give you the number that is most likely to succeed. Like, you would think if I gave you 10,000, you'd be more likely to succeed, but that's not the case. It's too many. You can't sustain that many. We've seen that many times over. I'll send about 300 to 500. That way you can put them in any enclosure. You will have far fewer deaths. In future years, if you get them to land and you want more, great. But we're going to start everyone out with 300 to 500 Zoeae. And we believe that gives you your best shot. And a spawn can be as much as 10,000. So we have the potential to send them to a lot of people. It's a lot of work on my part to package them up, count them out, prepare the salt water, which is a little higher salinity for traveling, package the box, make it an overnight shipment, check the price, it's just a lot. So we are trying to figure out how to make it so that doesn't eat into my efforts, because I am currently the only one in the United States still who has been successful, who is still actively breeding. Darcy Madsen has been successful. She's suspended her breeding for a while. Stacy Bolts has been successful. She's suspended her breeding, perhaps indefinitely. So it's just me, and I can only do so much and breed my own. So the other thing I wanted to say is we are opening this up for your suggestions and your ideas. Help us figure this out. We want it to be successful. We want it to be sustainable. We don't want to push anyone into the ground trying to make it happen. And likewise, if you look at the form and something stands out that you think could be phrased better or whatever, this is all new. You guys are in on the ground floor of this with us. And that's huge. That's exciting. Like, How often does that happen in history? Not very often, but you have the chance to get going with us early on and get a lot of this sorted out and help us make it. The other potential exists, though we haven't really explored it, Alison, is a caravan where if someone's 5 hours away, but 3 people are willing to drive an hour and a half, and meet and jump it to the person. Awesome.
Once we have enough people that have signed, like if they're using the form, we can start to sort of create a map based on people's response. It wouldn't be exact address. I know that that's what we're asking for, but the map wouldn't, of course, give out your personal address, but at least it would give an idea of where people are located, at least within the States. That's sort of where we're starting right now. I'm myself am not involved because I'm Canadian, but we're sort of starting with the United States because that seems where we have the most amount of people sort of willing to jump in at this time, at least with the purple pinchers and maybe some of the other exotic species. But once we have enough people that have put information into the form, then we can start putting it on a map and sort of seeing where people are. So if we've got like 5 or 6 people that are all within Pennsylvania, it makes it a lot easier to get, an aspiring breeder connected with a donation Zoeae. And somebody had asked higher up, like, what do you do when you find eggs? What do you do when you find a spawn? How do we get our spawn to those things? And that's all sort of what we're working towards. There's not really any sort of concrete how to, like, quick user's guide that we can all sudden like reference. Eggs are you're going to either see them because your crab's walking funny, and hopefully while they're still within the shell, and then you'll know that there's a potential for a spawn. Just because your crab's carrying eggs doesn't mean it's going to successfully drop them in your saltwater tank when they're supposed to drop them in your saltwater tank. So if that happens, then great, then you have Zoeae. And then, as Mary said, you've got about 24 hours, like that window, to decide whether you're going to keep them and try and raise them, whether you're unfortunately going to flush them, or whether, you're able to get them out to somebody that's able to, raise them in an adoption situation. But realizing that window is so small is why we're so excited and eager to sort of get this database up and going so that people can connect with somebody close to them that might have the potential to take those Zoeae in and raise them. So because it's labor intensive, and we all love Mary, but she can't do it all. And Brandon, I saw your question, and like cell tray. I don't know anything about cell trays, but like I think what the cool thing is about, because we're pioneering this. We could sit there and we could go over every last word that Mary wrote down, like when she's documenting what she's doing, and it may not be the exact science that works for your situation. And, people have had success out of pickle jars. They've had success out of very expensive chrysals. So who's to say cell trays would work or wouldn't work? We're all just trying to sort of figure out what works best. And, there's not going to be any one magical thing that makes it easy. This isn't something that's going to be easy, but we hope, and I think that Mary and I, are on the same page, that eventually we get to a point where like the code is not, cracked to the point we're never going to have 100% success rate. That's just not feasible. But if we could even get like a higher percent rate than, what we're currently experiencing, then it helps, because every one that's born in captivity means one less taken from the wild, and that's eventually a trade we want to cease to exist. And it may not happen next year, definitely won't, but it may not even happen with our lifetime, but we can hope that, the future is that, they're not taken from wild shores anymore. So.
Christine asks, what is the first thing someone should do if they want to donate a spawn? Some of that depends on whether it's eggs, whether it's an active spawn, the state of the eggs, if they're gray or if they're red. But if someone finds especially finds Zoeae in their saltwater, contact me or one of the Hermit House folks, and we can get you on a list on Zulip for donations. These are for people who want to donate, who have eggs. You won't stay on there. It's just a quick thread where all of our aspiring breeders and certified breeders can see also that you have a spawn, and they will take over. I am not the one who is going to assist people if they want to spawn. We do have in that Zulip chat, we have a breakdown. You need this, you need this, you need this. You can get it here. They tell you what to set your salinity at. Like, all of these things are there in that chat. And you are responsible for working with the certified breeder who wants that spawn. They can give you a label, or you can donate the shipping cost to help Hermit House out, right? But I'm not going to facilitate every single interaction. I'll put you guys in touch, but I can't micromanage everything. So the breeder needs to help you, and they have all the resources to do that at Zulip. And so far it's worked really well. Meredith has done it a couple times with different people. Stacy Bolts has done it. It's just time consuming, and it's not another thing that I want to take on. And the breeder, that's their responsibility. But you can connect with them there. And we also have a sheet, an official rights and responsibilities of Zoeae donation. And that's to protect everybody up front. And what you say, you have choices in there. I want to donate them free and clear. I want to donate them, but I want X amount of dollars for it. And you can say, I don't want any babies if they're successful. You can say, I want percentage, whatever. That's all outlined in that Zoeae donation. I'm not going to run through the whole thing here because it's done and it's out there on a piece of paper, and you can get it if you go to the Zulip. We have it there. But we tried to cover every single possible action, based on experience, things that have come up or gone wrong or gone right or whatever. So the shipping process, Kim, is, again, it's on Zulip, but it's basically an insulated box, fish bags, which you can buy at most any fish store. Nanochlorosis helps if you don't have that. Obviously, people don't have that sitting around. You can ship without it. It just sort of helps the process. And rubber bands to tie it off. Fresh salt water, we do it at about 36 parts per 1,000, which is a little high, 36 to 37, just to make, so they're more buoyant if it's more saline, and it doesn't seem to harm them for the short term for the shipping. So yeah, they do great though. Who knew? It's crazy. It's crazy. We never had an idea until we tried it. And so that's what this is all about. Like, what else do we not know because we haven't tried it, right? That's what getting so many people doing it is going to help us with. I haven't cracked the code. I probably have come closer than anybody, but I still struggle and weep and tear my hair out and do things wrong. So yeah, so we need a lot of people trying.
What do you guys feel would be like most beneficial? Because I know that like sort of like what I'm seeing in sort of the chat is a lot of people seem very interested, but they sort of are in that sort of like, now what do I do? And would it make sense to do like some simple things like infographics, like I have a spawn, now what do I do? And to sort of lay out easy steps, like, determine whether they've spawned properly, contact this, website or this, or like we'll contact Hermit House at this, and if you're not able to look after them, things like that. And then the other thought I've thought is for a different infographic would be how to set up a simple chrysal unit. So if these people, like if you are sitting there at home and you're like, I've got babies in my saltwater tank and it's 8 o'clock in the morning and it just happens to be a Saturday and I'm not at work. So let me have a little bit of a freak out and then, get my wits about me and try and put together, a pickle jar chrysal. How do I do that, without spending $1 million and having to get it shipped from Korea? How do, would these sort of like simple, like 1-page, pamphlets be helpful for people to have? As well as having access to that list of people that can potentially take babies that have arrived unexpectedly or in some cases expected.
Maybe the people that sign up get that automatically, so they feel a little more prepared, Yeah, I'm really trying to strike a balance between being 100% transparent and giving everybody all the information, and also protecting what we're building at Hermit House and, for the future breeders, right? If you want to be a Hermit House breeder, you meet certain requirements, you've paid the dues, we're trying to make Hermit House the standard for captive bred hermit crabs. Yeah. Josh's Frogs already considers us the standard. As we get more success, we will, other pet stores will consider Hermit House breeders the standards. So I don't want, I have my, I've put, if you followed me, I've put everything on my website. And anybody can start with that, right? But all of the more proprietary stuff, I want to keep with us, with those of us who are really trying to change the industry, who are working together, banding together, and if someone wants to try, join us. You get access to all that. That's all I'm asking. It's 20, what is it? $20 a year to be an aspiring breeder, $25 to be a certified breeder. Come on, that's nothing. And you get access to me and my knowledge and all the stuff that's already on Zulip and all the other people who are trying, a community of people who are trying together, sharing the successes, crying together over the failures, So yes, I want it out there, but I don't want necessarily everything out there because I want us to be professionals with skills that people come to specifically for the best, highest quality captive bred babies. And I'm not going to apologize for that.
You shouldn't.
What materials are needed to start raising Zoe? Well, food, water, and air. Basically, and it's something to keep them warm. We used to think it had to be circular the whole time. I've done it in a plastic and it was fine. I just had a whole lot of bubblers in there. They, with the salinity being a little higher, they will stay buoyant better. Food, we give them instant baby brine, shrimp, a bunch of coral foods. Again, at Hermit House, if you join us, we have a packet of foods you can get. That Stacy Bolts put together specifically for feeding Zoe. I could sit here and give you a list, or you could join us and you can get it. If you buy each one individually in a big can, you're going to spend $20 a can. If you come to us for $20, we'll give you enough for a summer's worth of attempts, 10 different foods. So, what do you want to do? Join us. We figured out a lot of things already, and we can help you, and we want to help you. But it is a self-directed project. You're not going to get your hand held every single step of the way. You're going to get the information. You're going to get people you can talk to. But there are times you'll just have to decide, should I feed them now? I don't know. They look hungry, right? I can't tell you that. I'm not sitting there looking at I can tell you best what I think, but again, you have to be willing to work a little bit independently with some support underneath you. I'm sorry, I should look at I'm just going off. I should look at the comments. If someone has a spawn, what should they do immediately to sustain the spawn and then to connect with breeders to ship them? Immediately take them out of whatever they're in. Even if it's a filtered large pool, if you don't take them out, turn the filter off, it'll suck up the Zoeae, but keep the water going. I pull mine out into a big bucket. I have a 5-gallon bucket that my Instant Ocean salt comes in, and water, salt water, and an air stone, and they will stay like that for 3 days easily. They won't grow, they won't eat, but they won't die if you keep them warm. You can put an aquarium heater directly in that bucket. Contact with it is not going to zap them or kill them or anything. So it's really way simpler to keep them alive than we ever used to think. They're hardy, they want to live. The problem arises when they start to morph into different stages. Their sheds become an issue. Feeding is a little different, but those early babies, they are built to, they must have a yolk sac so they can feed off that for a little while. They're built to survive. So you can probably keep them over the weekend, even if you don't have any foods or anything, because they're not going to molt because they're not eating. They're not going to poop yet because their gut tracts haven't developed from food. So you could keep them. I think Lana's came to me after 2 days, and they're fine, So yeah, just keep them moving, keep them in salt water, and keep them warm-ish, like 78 degrees. Not too warm if you're just holding them, because they're better. Their bodies are better. If it's at a lower temperature, they don't tend to develop as fast, so that you can hold them for a little bit longer. It really is, Kelsey, amazing that, our care standards have improved. They used to say crabs don't breed in captivity. That was the gospel. Now they do. Another example of something we're learning and changing and making strides on. If I remember from last year, you had said that the minimum amount of work on non-shed slow days was about 4 hours. Is that right? Katie, it depends on your setup. If you have huge gallons of water and not a lot of Zoeae, you might not have to do a water change at all, depending on how much you feed, right? That's what I mean about there's no hard and fast rule. But sure, 4 hours is probably on average. Maybe 2. Lately, I've been pushing it more because I'm trying to see how little I can do and still keep them growing and surviving. Corey, supporting members do not at this time get access to Zulip. We are grateful to your support. If you want to upgrade, I can work that out with you and just charge you the difference, and then you can be an aspiring breeder. But that very low membership, $12 a year, $1 a month, that's just for people who want to support but don't need the access for everything. Could we put a group of breeding links and files in the main care groups? I'll think about that. Sounds like a lot of work when we have it all at Zulip, and if somebody wants to join, but maybe Kelsey, maybe you just mean like who to contact and things like that. We'll think about that. Yeah. I'll make a note. You see any other questions, Alison?
Well, Jesselyn just put one down, and I'm just trying to figure out I don't. She says anything we should do or get to have ready prior to contacting Hermit House, or a checklist on our end before we reach out, so we don't waste your time or make it go faster. Are you just asking about like when you contact us if you've had a spawn, whether like what information we would need to know about that? If so, probably just where you're located and when the spawn occurred, or when you figure that it's occurred. So I think that would be all that would be needed immediately. And then, as I said, once we get the database up going a bit better, then we would know who's closest to you that might be accepting. And just because you put your name on the form or doesn't mean that that you're obligated to take Zoeae. If we get to the point where somebody's contacting you to say, hey, you're the closest one to me, can you take them? You're under no obligation to say, yeah. People have lives. We understand that. And you'll see it often in the chats where somebody's like, oh, my purple pincher just dropped a spawn. And, the 3 of the people that will usually take them, they're like, yeah, I'm camping this weekend, I ain't taking them. So there's never an obligation. We don't want people feeling, and this includes Mary. We don't want people feeling like they have to do this. Because it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of devotion. Once spawning season starts, it's nonstop for a couple months. And you sit there at every full moon and go, oh God, please no.
Yeah, please. I open my door every morning.
You open your door. Yeah. And you're like, yeah, I'm doing that because I have a set that's the one has been very guarded by 2 different males over the last month. And I'm just every single day I'm coming in looking, going, God, no. Okay.
Have caviar instead.
No. Yeah. Or if you're going to do it, drop it in the sand because I don't want them right now. I can't. But, so Tanya, a tank container to be an aspiring breeder. As Mary had mentioned earlier, we've had aspiring breeders be successful using large mason jars. It doesn't take a fancy setup. A couple of large mason jars or large pickle jars is enough. But some people, like, if you have the funds, you can go out buy, professional grade chrysals if you want. So.
Stacy Bolts has succeeded with 2 different species, and she's only ever used bubble bowls. They're like big, all globe-shaped fish bowls. I think they hold 2 gallons of water. Now, it's a lot of work. She has to do a lot of cleaning. The smaller of a container you have, the more you have to stay on top of water quality, just like a fish tank. But yeah, you can do it with a very small. They don't need a ton of room. They just need clean water and food.
Yeah, Mary's crabs like to get busy. They don't stop. Like 10 months a year, it's ridiculous. Most of us, it's a 3-month window.
Man, last year
my
first spawn was on August 1st after CrabCon, and then I was still raising Zoeae in January. Usually it's done by January, but the exotics are on a slightly different timetable. I think because many are from the Southern Hemisphere, so their seasons flipped, and maybe they can't tell even though they're in a different, I don't know, but there seems to be a little bit different. Plus I have a lot of crabs, so, and I play Barry White. That might have something to do with it.
Yeah.
And the next talk is up. If anyone we don't have to stop, but if you're wanting to catch that, it's mating. The talk is it mating by Tammy Wyke. She got some great footage. She was the first person we know of in the U.S. to succeed at captive breeding in 2008. Didn't tell anybody, so I didn't even know until CrabCon 2020 when she made that awesome video. But yeah, so if you want to catch that, you can feel free to do that. That's great, Rebecca. Sign up. Put it on the list. Put it on the. Oh, it's not pinned anymore up at the top, but maybe we can add that to the link tree, Christine, if you're still in here. Not immediately, but make a note to add the Google form that Alison put together, add it to the Hermit House link tree. That would probably be a great
she already
idea.
did. She said,
oh, is it?
Up
awesome.
Above.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
And I mean that form I think can change. So I mean we can always add like an extra little thing that says interested in accepting now, future, like interested for future perhaps, or interested in transport.
Yeah, any and all of those are very helpful.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will have another talk on the mechanics of breeding, taming the ocean. I think that's tomorrow. This is primarily about the shipping and the starting of the process, getting to the point of even being able to try. So we'll go into more detail in the Taming the Ocean live session. But I think we're good.
Yeah.
I really want to catch that mating video and watch it.
Yeah, so I can, me too. So I can make sure that, if this is what this actually is.
All right,
like,
so you're prepared.
Go and hide.
I will, as soon as we close this out too, I will go and make it a replay. So if you came in late and you missed it, you can go back and watch it. And of course, it'll be for people who have replays after the conference, it'll be available too. But basically, we just really wanted to let you know it's possible. We're trying to get better at it. It's a process. We're starting from zero. We're inventing the wheel. We are doing amazing things, but it takes time to get it seamless and smooth, and all of you can help with that.
Yeah, and we're eventually hoping to get it to the point where it's almost near automated. So like, people just, will go on, say, this is dropped, and the person can say, okay, well, we're either going to create like a caravan, or we're going to be able to get it shipped out to you like tomorrow, without, Mary feeling like she has to be like the United Postal Service
for crabs,
as well as everything else that she does for Zoeae.
Oh, that's great, Trisha. That's great. I'm going to hold you to it.
That's a great idea. And I mean, like getting a little spawning kit is a great idea. And I know that there are some of our vendors that are down the road really thinking about putting together like shipping kits and, Kreisel kits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's still far away. Like it's not anything that's right now. So I don't want to like use the vendor's name or anything like that and sort of have them come under, a microscope. But like it is eventually hopefully going to be one of those things that is easier.
Yeah, you can just order the kit. You have it there.
You can order a kit, have it on standby. If you need it, you have it, and not have to like go through that. There's just been a spawn. What
do I do?
I'll do, I'm sure, when we find it.
Which is where we all are right now. But we're trying to get away from, there's a spawn.
Yeah, we want spawning to start being a little bit more like, cool, I've had a spawn, not like,
God, what do I do? All right. Thank you, guys. You all are awesome. We are the future of correct hermit crab husbandry and care. We're making it happen.
Yay. Bye.
Yo.